We all know that the four pillars of Indian democracy are the legislature, executive, judiciary, and the media. Among these four, we the people trust more in the pillar called judiciary. But unfortunately, what is happening in our country today is that the very hands of justice are stabbing us from behind, and since the truth is not welcomed in our country, the corrupts are living happily around us. And we people are simply blind, or they made us blind. But let me tell you that I am not pointing or blaming the entire judiciary system, but I am talking about few judges of the Supreme Court who are clearly like a wolf in a sheep's skin. It is high time that we realize that the sacred lawyer court is worn by these evil-minded people. On October 19th, T.P. Nandakumar has published a matter regarding this issue in his magazine Crime, which is India's very first investigation magazine. So now, let's go through the very first chapter, which is titled Misadventure of Chief Justice, who will be the cat.
People in India as a whole have a notion that in a democratic country like ours, where every hope for natural justice is not imparted or denied, the ultimate refuge is in the courts, since the Indians treat judges in high courts and supreme courts as lords on par with the heavenly deities. But what happens if the lordship in the higher status himself become the center of all heinous, unsculpturous and malodorous gimmicks? The mother of suspicion of all this stems from a complaint submitted by one of the junior court assistant of the Supreme Court, a woman, to the judges of the Supreme Court, which triggered a new scam against the most revered and unquestionable person of all the Indian courts. The woman in question was working in Supreme Court till December last, when all of a sudden her service was terminated without any prior notice. Her husband and his brother were working as police constables in Delhi police were suspended. Next month, her husband's younger brother, who is a Group D staff in the service of Supreme Court and appointed through discretionary quota of the Chief Justice, was also expelled without any departmental inquiry. The reason pointed out for woman's ouster was that she had taken bribe of rupees 50,000 from one Mr. Naveen of Jajjar for getting a job in the Supreme Court. A torrent of incidents followed. Both she and her husband were arrested, and her husband was handcuffed and beaten without recording any arrest. She was kept in judicial custody and was forced to seek bail. Following this, she submitted a complaint before all the other judges of Supreme Court, alleging that the reason for this wrong and unjustifiable deeds were the outcome of her refusal to the sexual advances made by Justice Ranjan Gogoi, the present Chief Justice of India. She narrated the sexual advances made by Justice Ranjan Gogoi against her during the tenure as an assistant at the Supreme Court in detail, and also submitted an affidavit to this effect. The affidavit is an elaborate on wherein she narrated how she had to work with Justice Ranjan Gogoi about the first time meeting with Justice Ranjan Gogoi at his chamber in his residence. The affidavit explained how the Chief Justice tried to restrain a lovely lady assistant in his office at his residence, how she was given complete freedom to do the special works given over her senior persons, how she became the beloved of Chief Justice, and how he first started his sexual advances towards her. As per her affidavit, at one instance, when the Chief Justice told her, "You are looking pretty," and then asked her to come and stand next to him, and he got up from his chair and asked her what she could do for him. He then slid his hand from the back of her head along the back of her hip line till her lower back. I immediately froze and my body stiffened, and he sensed it and he took off his hands, added the woman staffer. Again, another day, he took her hand in and appreciated that it is small and beautiful and pinched her cheek. Then put his hands around her waist and touched her all around and said, I want this from you. The second part of the affidavit explains how she was forced to work at odd hours, how the harassment began as a vengeance against her for not consenting to his sexual desire. The Chief Justice of India, on a complete frivolous and baseless charges that warrant the severe penalty of termination of services, took place. She asserted that it was when the victimization reached to an unbearable proportion and when she and her husband were taken into police custody and tortured, and when they felt an immediate danger even to their lives. They were compelled to talk the whole truth and open their minds to the world. The sexual harassment complaint against Chief Justice took on a larger dimension when they appointed a retired Supreme Court Judge A.K. Patnaik to probe into this issue with the help of the Intelligence Bureau, Central Bureau of Investigation and Delhi Police. The reason behind is that there is gang of fixers in connection with a dismissed Supreme Court employee who is attempting to manage benches and frame Chief Justice of India. Soon after the submission of complaint to the Chief Justice, the woman wrote a letter to 22 judges of the top court seeking inquiry into alleged incident of sexual harassment by the Chief Justice. The woman later wrote to the three-member committee headed by Justice S.A. Bobde, Justice N.V. Ramana and Justice Indira Banerjee. She raised concern that since Justice Ramana is very close to Chief Justice of India and almost a family member of him, and feared that she would be getting a free and fair hearing in the matter. Meanwhile, an advocate from Chandigarh, one Mr. Utsav Bains, filed a counter affidavit alleging that the complaint filed by this lady is only a tip of the iceberg of conspiracies concocted by bigger mighty forces to tarnish the images of the Chief Justice of India and to destabilize the abode of justice. Mr. Bains shared story of bribes, conspiracy to help CJI made the case for due process even stronger. The advocate also offered his willingness to disclose ample proofs to confirm the conspiracy theory. Taking cognizance of the affidavit filed by this advocate, the Supreme Court formed a three-member bench to inquire the whole episode to find out the root of the matter. The area of this inquiry and matter of the manipulation of judiciary. The pertinent question arising is whether the current Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India is a sexually inclined and corrupt judge. Two approaches of the Chief Justice immediately after made the allegation shows elements of suspicion. First, he appointed a bench of judges to inquire into the allegations with one of his close ally and family friend as the head of the inquiry team. Secondly, he did not order to conduct an inquiry in accordance with the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013. Eminent lawyers like Advocate Flavia Agnes questions the act of Justice Bobde, who was asked by the Chief Justice of India to appoint to form an in-house committee and who has appointed a three-member committee with himself as the chairman. The constitution of the committee with no prominent external member is itself was a violation of the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013. Various social activists like feminists, educationalists have come out with strong resentments in the act of the Chief Justice of India, raising an important question. When we make a mistake or crime, we approach a court, and when judges in lower court commit mistakes, there is district level judges to correct them. When district level judges make mistakes, the High Court looks into this, and when High Court judges also commit erroneous decisions, the Supreme Court conduct the trial, and when the Supreme Court judges are the culprits, the Chief Justice will be the answerable man. But when the Chief Justice himself becomes the center of all malpractices, who will bell the cat? Even though there were other allegations cropped up against the Chief Justice in the past, but no sexual harassment was come into the fore till date. Is there any law dealing with allegations against the Chief Justice of the land and other guardians of law in India? Are they clubbed as a separate group of species who are above the law of the land in the country's constitution? Since it is an open secret that even the senior advocates and other court personnel are jokingly comment that the present Chief Justice of India is the most sexist Chief Justice of India. In view of the above allegations are definitely a bolt on the whole judiciary system in India, and the chief of the system is solemnly responsible to clear the dust looming over. Status of Chief Justice. Before we moving forward, we must bear in mind that the Chief Justice of India is the senior most judge of our country. Chief Justice of India has been given a special status by our lawmakers, and that is why is a nomenclature. He holds the administration control of the Supreme Court and has a variety of powers, including allocation of work of other judges and master of roster. But one must also remember that when an allegations, that is like sexual harassment, are made against an individual who holds the highest position in judiciary, those will affect the whole institution. Allegations of offences of such high magnitude, even against the Chief Justice of India, will definitely blacken the so-called divine face of the judiciary, where Chief Justice is the Almighty, though he is only a part of the judiciary and not the judiciary himself. The in-house procedure, however, does not expressly provide for a mechanism to constitute a committee when the complaint is against the Chief Justice of India himself. Furthermore, it seems that it was drafted on an assumption that no allegation will come up against the Chief Justice of India has been vested with huge power under this procedure. The argument is that Chief Justice of India is governed by the in-house procedure by virtue of being a judge of Supreme Court is flawed until and unless a procedure is laid down expressly. It cannot be extended to anyone. Who plays for Sahara Group? Why Supreme Court is not considering the contempt case against Sahara Group chairman Subrata Roy even 8 months past? There was a Supreme Court judgment in 2012 against him to deposit rupees 25,781 crores. But they defaulted this matter. Who plays behind it? There is a regular allegation that a caucus is working in Supreme Court, including Registry and Chief Justice, to protect big business people cases. In this way, Sahara case also delayed.
So these are the major things included in the first chapter of the crime magazine, which focuses on the chief judges who are corrupt. The cover page says few things like highest womanizer, most corrupt judge, the most sexist judge of India, and lastly, who will be the cat, which literally means take the danger of shared enterprises upon oneself. The answer is all in your hands. Just think. In next video, I will come up with the second chapter of this magazine. We need to discuss more. Until then, take care. Thank you.